So today we'll be talking about the thoracic spine. The thoracic spine is responsible for trunk rotation, and that would be on the transverse plane on the y-axis. It is also responsible for trunk lateral flexion on the frontal plane and on the z-axis. The next part we'll be talking about is lumbar spine. That is responsible for trunk flexion and trunk extension, and that would be on the sagittal plane and on the x-axis. The next one would be the acetabular femoral joint. It is a ball and socket triaxial joint. It's responsible for abduction and adduction. That would be on the frontal plane and on the z-axis. It is also responsible for flexion and extension, and that would be on the sagittal plane and on the x-axis. It is also responsible for external rotation and internal rotation, and that would be on the transverse plane and on the y-axis. The next up would be tibiofemoral joint. That would be a hinge and uniaxial joint. It's responsible for knee flexion and knee extension, and that would be on the sagittal and x-axis. The next one would be talocural joint. That is a hinge joint, and it's uniaxial. That would be responsible for dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, and that would be on the sagittal plane and on the x-axis. And then the final one would be the subtalar joint, which is a condyloid biaxial joint. It is responsible for adduction and abduction, and that would be on the frontal plane and on z-axis. And it's also responsible for inversion and eversion, and that would be on the transverse plane and on the y-axis.